so nervous when you do it like that.
I'ma get $1 million in the bank.
What up, y'all? It's Torre, and this is Rap Latte.
And I am King Green, and we got my bro in here that I'm ready to beef with. Curtis King came in here with the green LA Celtics colored Lakers hat. I don't even understand that. Like, isn't that like, where the smoke coming from, Curtis?
That's the beef. That's all the anger I got on me.
It's the beef. It's the anger.
That's the anger.
Dude, you came ready? You came ready for war?
I came so ready that the same way our people reclaim the N-word, we reclaiming the color green. And this LA hat is my first step in that direction. So you're gonna have to deal with it. You see that LA over the top of this Celtic green? No, that's Dodger green now.
Dodger green. Dodger green.
Wow.
Impossible, but it's all right. You see, I gotta wear this jacket every single time I see you. I can't wait to go to LA in this jacket. I'm gonna come to the crib.
Don't worry.
I want macaroni. I want food, and I'm gonna be all greened out.
You sure you want to eat? You sure you want to eat in the Laker household?
All right. But either way,
me, gentlemen.
All flowers. Great to have my man Curtis back, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome back.
Dodger Green is crazy though, and we're gonna get back to that.
And I want to say publicly, my apologies to you and Torre. We had some scheduling conflicts. Supposed to have you on the platform, but I wanted to publicly apologize because I'm much better about those things. But that's where the apologies end and the beef starts. So I just wanted to put that away.
What's all the beef? What's the problem? Why are you mad, Curtis?
Let the internet tell that I'm mad at everything. I'm at that age.
He's at that age.
What are you
old and bitter
right now? What is your beef with Green right now?
You know what's crazy? I don't even got a beef with Green. It's with you, Torre. You know what? Let me just take a step.
Oblivious that I am to the whole thing. I thought for sure there's no way it's with me. What's the problem? What did Green do? Oh,
can I just like?
What did I do?
Can I sit in this moment as like somebody that's supposed to act like I've been here, but I never been here? I got beef with Torre. That's hilarious. Anyways, the legend. You know what? I sat there and I listened to what almost became a very spirited conversation about ageism in hip hop. And it's something that for whatever reason has always been on my mind, even in my 20s. I didn't like to see my peers talking about older rappers in a certain way. And I wondered why they talked about them like that when some of them were assholes. Let's get that started. Some of them were assholes. They were gatekeepers. They were holders of information. But the ones that weren't were probably the most instrumental to my growth early on. So I always had like an empathy. I feel bad for them. I had an empathy for older rappers because I'm like, dog, you forgot more than I know.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I saw this conversation about ageism and hip hop being a young man's sport, I have a theory. And, you know, I don't know if you want to refresh their memories on what that conversation was about. But Curtis loves putting the foil hat on in private. Maybe not always in public. I like putting the foil hat on in private. And I have a theory about why there's such an effort to make sure that the youth of hip hop and the elders are separated. And that's where I'm at with it. I was watching that video. I was dropping my son off, by the way, doing dad activities, big dad activities. And I was dropping my son off, listening to that 6-minute video. And I dropped him off. We didn't talk on the way to his class. I said, how unfortunate of you, Torre.
Wait, what did I say that made you mad?
Everything.
Well,
let me interrupt.
Everything.
Torre, they was beefing with Torre in the comments so much they started putting his perspective on me, and I was going against him in the conversation. It was crazy. And Torre doesn't even know what he said because he didn't even see the video.
He said, "I ain't never hog tie nobody." What did I say? What did I say?
So tell him what he said.
You want me to tell Torre? Do you want to? No, you know what? I don't.
Yes, I want you to.
The version that I have.
What it is that I said that bothered you, so I can respond to that. Because I don't think I look at this the way you think that I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm trying to find out what is the exact end point of the conversation.
It's less about what was said and more so, I think, what was implied about
Okay.
This has been a young man's sport. This will always be a young man's sport. I think it was the way that I heard you react to King Green about the significance of a 45-year-old. I'm 40, by the way, but I'm a 45-year-old, 50-year-old rapper. And maybe it was less about what was being implied and probably more so what I was assuming, to be fair.
Okay.
But I'd have to refresh my memory on exactly. We just had this conversation come together, but it was the conversation of specifically talking about
like that it was a young man's what people had. I would say,
yeah. What did they have issue with? Because I would refresh.
They had an issue with the idea of it being a young man's sport, and I was combating that idea that is actually changing within the industry today. And Toure was affirming that it's still 15 to 20-year-olds who are buying the tickets and listening to the music. And that made people feel like you're saying. Like there was people in the comments who are 40, 30, 50 talking about, I listen to rap every day. Should I stop listening to rap? And I want to listen to older rappers.
It's coming back to me. It's coming back to the smoke. It's coming back to me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tori. I see it. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's coming back to you. Go ahead. I don't know. I want you to articulate it better.
Okay, I'm gonna just throw the theory out there. I believe that there's a concerted effort to make sure that hip hop stays young in the eyes of the consumer, rather than what it actually is on an ownership standpoint. No matter what it is, when you start doing the stats on independent artists, I think there's an effort to separate young, impressionable artists who are willing to sign anything to get out of their environments, their dire environments, without consulting with somebody who knows better. I also have a theory that rappers go through different phases of having their energy, their creativity, their vitality purposely drained from them in this specific music industry, so that when they get to their late 30s and 40s, all they have left to do is talk about what happened in the music industry on the podcast. I think some of these things are very much done on purpose. So when I hear the conversation about hip hop is still a young man's sport, I challenge that because of how many artists are showing up, not only just in mainstream rap, but independently, and setting the example. The conversation we had about the biggest rap battle over the last year has been about two artists who are in their late 30s.
Yeah.
The conversations we're having around new drops by Common and Pete Rock, the conversations about L. Cool J, it's more so an expectation. It's not just like, it's good to see you out here rapping, OG. It's like, no, this is actually really good music to consume. I don't feel that way about Will Smith's album, but that's another story for another day. In the context of this conversation, in the context of this conversation, no, I think that there needs to be a space for a Sexy Red and an MC Light to be in the same room and having some really, really serious conversations about what you can expect, because the game hasn't changed that much. If anything, it's gotten more greedy. And two, to make sure that we do put ourselves in a position to own something. I think that as the economy gets worse, I think as this stuff with the tariffs is popping off, I think that it's just going to get more and more greedy as they try to push AI into the forefront. So when I hear this, and then also last thing, when I see this shit about I'm gonna call it Broachella. When I see this thing about Coachella, where 60% of the attendees of the 100,000 that came, 60% of them financed their tickets on a subscription model because they couldn't afford it. Yet they're at the event paying $17 for a lemonade and $26 for chicken tenders. Hip hop, if we're talking about that's a segment, because I know it's more than just hip hop. If that's a segment of being a young man's sport, I challenge that, and I wonder how much the powers that be, tinfoil hat, the powers that be want us to believe that, so that we keep. Well, first of all, so they keep attracting people who are young-minded, and two, so that it even makes other artists want to conform and do the things that are carry the stereotypes that they want them to carry. And so when I hear young man sport, I kind of get what you mean, because I've heard that my entire career, my whole life. But as the game shifts, I think, when do we ever get to challenge that? And I feel like that's why these conversations are important.
I think we are challenging that, but Torre, rebuttal and clarify. I need you to clarify because in our conversation, I know you said those things, and it became a conversation about the music industry between us. But people started thinking that you were saying if you're old, you shouldn't rap, and I know that's not what you think because we both want Andre 3000 to drop 4 albums next year. So
yeah,
explain yourself.
I mean, I absolutely want there to be an adult wing of hip hop where there's an Andre, a Nas, Jay, whoever talking about things from an adult perspective. And when you look at things like, 444, like that's a real adult saying, like, I am really sorry that I think Mr. Morale represents like a really deep adult conversation, life of the party. What Andre's talking about. There's so many great moments when hip hop really lives up to what adults are going through. And I want that for us, for those of us who've been riding with hip hop since the 80s, since Curtis Blow and early days. Like, we deserve to continue to have a group of a part of this music that's aimed at us, people speaking to us. And that's part of the video I'm making, the tragedy of Andre 3000 sort of like leaving his career, is because he's definitely somebody who could have been part of that. So I definitely don't want you to get to be 40 or 50 and stop rapping. I want you to be thoughtful about music that represents who you are in the world. If you're 45 years old and you've been divorced, you understand that, talk about divorce,
Right.
or at least talk about real things. And, we don't necessarily need people talking at 40 or 45 or 50 about the same things that they were talking about at 25. Haven't you developed as a person? And your audience has developed. I mean, that youth is at the center of popular culture is probably, I mean, really? You really have to defend that idea? I think part of this conversation is a bit of what I find in this era. I think of it as like Twitter thinking, because we saw this a lot on Twitter. If somebody wrote a tweet that was like, I love sunsets, they would get crushed by people saying, why do you hate sunrises?
Yeah.
I didn't say that at all. I said, and you had to learn on Twitter to be like, no disrespect to sunrises, but I prefer, and now we're not even really making, and like, yeah, I said that the dominant audience in this popular culture is going to be around 15 to 25. That does not mean those of us, I'm 55 or something, not 55, close to 55. I can't even count this high anymore. But I'm friggin' listening to Life is Beautiful. I'm like trying to be in the culture. Like, what's going on now? How is it developing? Some of it I don't like. Some of it I love. I want to be continuing to follow the developing story of hip hop. So everybody in your 40s and your 50s who still freaking love it. But like when I was 20, all of us, all my peers loved hip hop and lived for hip hop. And it was part of your identity. Like, not only like do I live hip hop, but I am I am a Public Enemy guy. That's I mean, like, specifically, I arranged to bring Chuck D to campus when I was at Emory. Like, and Chuck D was like in Public Enemy. If you knew me, you were like, he likes Public Enemy. He's that kind of fucking guy. He's a chill guy. He's a Tribe Called Quest sort of guy. As you get older, those are not the sort of things that define you and your identity the same way. And, and so, I mean, like, it just, your identity grows to include your family, and who you are in your community apart from the music you like. That's just one part of it, right? As you become, so, I mean, it's not that we shouldn't listen to it. My God, I'm doing a show about hip hop at a granular level. Like, of course, I think we should continue to love culture as much as you want to. I just see there's differences between the way the youth consume youth culture and the way that we do. But that was not to negate anybody. I'm part of the.
I just think that it's
down.
the conversation that I was having with you is that I think that's changed because looking at the numbers, being in the industry, having this show, it's already drastically changed. And here's how it's changed for me, or there's been a big change. I think almost it was like 90% of music consumption was from record labels, like 15 years ago. Now it's cut down to I think like 80%, meaning that from major record labels, meaning that independent artists are getting more money than ever, right? Independent projects. And that means without a label. You know, sometimes people say they're independent, but they're actually on a major label. So they're actually earning this because people are creating their own fan bases in their own industry. They actually work outside of the music industry, and the music industry sees them, one, as a threat. That's why I could understand Curtis having a tinfoil hat in the corner, putting pins together on pictures of label heads and being like, yo, it's like, wait a minute, they don't want him to win. You know what I'm saying? I get why you would have that conversation with yourself, because these people are creating industries that in the building, they literally consider it like that's not music. We can't own them. They're not music. That's something else. So someone like I always bring up Toby because I always want to champion him. Someone like Griselda, that whole industry that they had before they went into a label. Someone like Alchemist, who we love, who's been in the biggest run of his life in his is he in his 50s now? Is Alchemist in his 50s now? He's either late 40s or 50s.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And he dropped like his second album, and he's hotter than ever. Alchemist is hotter than ever, right? So as an artist and a producer doing all these projects. So in this moment, hip hop has that elder area within the culture. It has it now. Like people are like, yo, let me figure out what Alchemist is doing. Let me see the new Larry June is 30, what, 35? And the two artists that we have, the two artists on the top of the Billboard charts right here, thanks to
almost 40.
Two 40-year-old men are at the top of the Billboard charts because of hip hop. Beyond the beef, me and Curtis were saying this, beyond the beef, this right here created a whole industry. That's why we're making the greatest weekend in hip hop video that we're doing. Rap Latte's first documentary, first video essay. We're doing that because you gotta plug, because of this right here. This is because of hip hop that they're at the top, and that's crazy. And that never could happen before. Kanye West last year was 46 with the #1 record.
But also, Counselor, could they both? Could both of these records be at the top of the charts at the same time if they weren't both being aided by UMG? And how interesting that even now, while Drake is suing UMG, they're still helping him up on the charts.
You know why that is, right? Though you know why that is, Torre. Well, at least why I think that is.
Because capitalism will do anything that makes itself more money, even if that means emotionally hurting itself.
No, I don't think that's hurting them. I might. Hold on.
He doesn't care. No, Lucian doesn't care about his emotions. He only cares about the profits.
I look at that and I say that hurts the case that Drake is trying to make for the unfair way that they're pushing one artist versus him. So if they're still doing the same thing, if he's still able to get because he wants to argue that part of the defamation is his reputation is hurt. The way the public sees him is hurt. And if you still return back with the #1 album with that Sexy Songs for Men's is what I call it.
#2 song.
The Sexy Songs for Men's and that song Nokia Rollover Minutes. Like when you still return to the to the top of the charts, what damage are you proving?
But that's true. But Lucian and them don't move in response to a lawsuit. They move in because they have a fiduciary responsibility to make the most money they can for their shareholders every fucking day. So even if Drake says Lucian is a horrible child molester, whatever, he's still got to push Drake just as much as he did before. And like
it's moving
about beef between them. Lucian doesn't care. He's making money on this nigga. They're making money together. But like,
you're actually making money, I'm saying like Lucian doesn't care. Everything that makes money is good, right? But I'm saying like if his songs weren't moving, And if there wasn't being, he wouldn't be pushing it in the same way because he had other songs that weren't getting. When's the last time Drake had a number 2? He dropped a bunch of songs. He dropped this project, which was
He didn't crack 18 for
So
the
is- so
20 plus
he
songs he
back?
had.
Is he back? Is that
well,
what
he's
we're
number
saying?
2.
He's back until this case is settled.
Like he's got a hit. He's
back
got a
into
hit.
this-
He got
Oh,
something
wait.
going.
So
Tory,
wait, I'm telling
he's
you-
clearly has a hit.
Hold on. Let me connect the dots. He's back until this case is done. And then they're going to close the door and they're going to say, give us the key card. You're now independent, whether you like it or not.
No.
He's going to give them whatever the responsibilities are left on his contract. And after this case is done, it says, now that you had your little fit, here's how this is going to go moving forward. And they're going to line up a very new reality for him. Then I think it's going to settle in. Then it won't even look like there's some nefarious things going on or the industry is against him because then he'll be 40.
Wait,
And
what
this
is
happens to a lot of 40-year-old
what is
rappers.
what is the new world order you are saying they will tell him it is?
That nobody's bigger than a program, including Michael Jackson and Prince.
Sure.
Nobody
I
bigger
mean
than the
he's
program.
not leaving. UMG's not letting him leave.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that now you're faced with your new reality that you have to watch your demise as you still owe us whatever you owe us on these contracts. I think that's part of I think that's part of the reason why it's still getting playlist consideration, still front page consideration on Spotify, even though you put them in a lawsuit. They got more than enough reason.
I don't know that they turn vengeful and say, now here's where we get you back. If there's another bit of juice to squeeze from this lemon, we're going to get that too. Like, can he
I
do
agree
it
with
again?
that part.
Can he, I mean, like, we want to keep making money on the man as long as we can. We have a fiduciary responsibility to that. The capitalists don't care about all this emotional stuff you're talking about regarding the suit. Once we can go back to fully monetizing the nigga, let's go as long as we can.
To your point, isn't that what they're doing right now?
Yeah.
Well, the value is at the highest that it can be. If he loses, which I believe he's going to lose,
Of course.
This 1-2 battle you're talking about?
this
The
This 1 versus
lawsuit.
2 battle?
defamation.
when he loses the lawsuit, and I mean, you already see the court of public opinion already turning. And I know that they're not attached to these emotional things. Like I definitely get that part of it. I think that this does put pressure on them to set a precedent or set an example. Don't you ever think about suing us for the same acts that you have allegedly participated in and benefited from? Nobody gets that. Nobody's a golden child here. I think he's the last time we're going to see a superstar rose up in that way and given that much power and say so. He glitched out. He glitched out versus the very same people that he has been like when you're listing things in a lawsuit that say certain people that had favor with me, 6 or 7 people are no longer there, and you're bringing that. I need
I imagine that at some point, I don't think Drake could handle losing. And I think at some point it will become clear we are not going to win. And there will be like, we have announced a settlement quietly and it quietly ends. And we don't know what the settlement is. Settlement could be 0 because I'm Drake. I want this to go away because he can't have this go to, I don't know who, a judge, jury, whatever, and then lose. Like that's unacceptable. We can't go there.
2 in a year. Tough.
That man's gonna lose that lawsuit. We've been saying that since the beginning. And what we enjoy about this battle of these 2 records on there is the fact that it's that label UMG pushing both of these records. And I agree with Curtis that this is going to make the whole case like just nil.
I'm sorry, 1 second, sir. Who lives next to the train tracks? What?
Ain't me.
I live next to trains. Oh, you heard?
What was that? What was that?
No, that's me. That's me.
You did the same thing I did, Tori.
Ain't no train tracks over here.
You did the same. I thought my Bluetooth speaker turned on. I was like,
I'm sorry,
this
Green.
man got trained.
Please continue, Green.
Who?
Hold on.
Okay, wait. You want to talk about my train? I'm gonna put this on the screen. You want to talk about the train tracks? Read this.
I'm
right
still
here.
a locomotive in here. Don't get it twisted. I'm still a locomotive.
Doreen, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. really
Honestly, Toure has been wild with his takes recently. I don't even know what she's talking about, but that's funny.
What does that statement mean? Like, can I be a contrarian on purpose? What does that statement mean? Because people tell me that you've been wild with your takes recently.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what there was a day, there was a weird day that kind of is like what it feels like kind of to live in America right now, where we were talking about Kendrick's hypocrisy or not. And I felt like I was the only person in the entire chat, like the entire chat agreed, were arguing with me. And I'm like, no, you guys, I can read the dictionary. This is hypocrisy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And this is like when I go like on CNN or whatever, and there's these pod people who were like, yes, everything Trump says is right. And I'm like, you know that there's Google for free, right? Like what you're saying is objectively wrong. But then,
hey.
And the whole chat was like, it's not hypocrisy. I'm like,
well, we could get into that because that's not exactly how it went. But you're right. The chat was against you, and because the way that we argue, sometimes we're talking about a micro piece of the argument versus the macro idea, and people may get lost in it. But essentially, Drake is about to have his first Black American experience after this legal action, including all. What?
I'm saying the same thing. The chat is educating us again. Yesterday we learned about liminal space. I don't know what this word means, and
what the hell is that word?
Wait, I have to figure out what this means.
Hey,
strong public criticism or verbal abuse.
I just learned one the other day. You ever heard of ad hominem fallacy?
Yes, that means
I love that. I love that.
I'm talking about you personally. Like Curtis is so yellow, he looks like yellow rice. Like,
don't be trying to get your subs in.
Why are you talking about my subs in?
Don't be trying to get your subs in with an example. You know what? I'm with the chat. These hot takes lately, Toure.
I
don't know, man.
All right, so wow. Okay, that was good. That was good.
And the word is obloquy, by the way. I thought it was a G instead of a Q.
Obloquy. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I could read. I just didn't know the word.
No, for sure. So wait, so would that become obloquacious? Like, where does it go? Like,
damn, that's a sexy word. Obloquacious.
Obloquacious. That's a TI word. That is a TI word right there.
So he's going to be disgraced because of strong public criticism and verbal abuse. For sure. The reputation has been damaged. I gotta imagine they're all gonna try to manage this in some way and get him back on track. UMG wants him making slaps. If they think he still can, they're gonna help him get back on track.
They don't need him. They got Jello Ball now. He's being replaced as we speak. They don't want him back in that building.
He's a new biracial king. He's a new biracial king.
He's yellow.
He already had a Facebook show. All his brothers in the NBA, right? He balled and he rapped. He's a new Drake. Watch what I say. I know that sounds crazy in 2025. He is in the process of being replaced. When I saw that song over, like I listened to the song and I was like, damn, it kind of sounds like some early 2000s. This is kind of cool. When I seen it go ultra viral, I said, oh, that's major label viral. I know major label viral when I see it. When it starts getting in certain circles,
to tell people,
I was like,
I mean,
it didn't just jump in Billie Eilish's phone.
If anybody would engage in payola, would come from outside the industry and get LeVar Ball would absolutely figure out how to buy a radio station for his kid. And bring it here. You want 250 here? I got 250 racks to make my kid's song 100%.
Because he didn't make it in the NBA, but you know what? He can make it in the other NBA. If he make it in the rap game, and then he has a deal, which I think folks, when they look at it, are gonna be shocked. He has a deal that even though he's gonna owe a lot of money, it gives him a lot of leverage and ownership over his music, which is just unheard of.
LeVar caught a lot of criticism because he's a classic big mouth, big talking black man, right? In the fucking Don King sort of way of like talking shit to create attention. Spike Lee did that like a lot. Muhammad Ali did that, but they demonized LeVar. But he's like incredible father, 3 kids who are living their best life, impacting the culture. They're all good kids, and they were and then one of them is on his way perhaps to the Hall of Fame. The other one is, I mean, like Jello is like enjoying the fuck out of his new life. I mean, like this and you know, and the things that he did purposely, he didn't just like throw out some basketballs and raise them up. He took the baby across to another fucking country and shit. Like he made moves. Like he did it his way.
Yeah, and Melo's crazy. Melo's really good. Melo should be on the Celtics. Like somehow we gotta make that move.
We want him to win though.
For real though.
No.
Green.
Wait, you want him to win like the defending champions?
No, we want him to win even more so out of basketball too. Because what do you do in Boston?
When you think about the NBA and the history of the NBA, you know Melo is a future Laker. That's going to be one of those things that they make happen. Oh, how did this happen? Oh my God, we voided the trade to the Spurs, and he got traded to the Lakers.
If we went off the history of the NBA, Luka would have been a future Celtics, because you know how the Celtics love a white man as a star. Yeah, they would have. So I don't know what the NBA looks like right now.
That is true. He's such a Celtic.
He's a Celtic like
who barely jumps. Oh my God, he's so Larry 2.0. Oh my God,
Celtics love their YWs.
I didn't even really. Luka plays like slowly, and I didn't fully understand what he was doing until I saw a video that was like he breaks faster than other people. So he seems like he's moving slowly, like he's the old man at the Y. But then he breaks, and you keep going, even though that. It's incredible. He's like maneuvering through like the Matrix at his own speed. I love watching him. He's crazy.
It's very LeBron-like without any of the athleticism.
And he's a Laker.
Oh, this dude. I mean, look, we already said this. Let's get flowers before we go anywhere else with the beef, because the beef continues. This is a beef show. But the flowers are that.
I didn't sign up for that. All right.
I think did we resolve the
no but
because I felt like I said
I got some final words on that I want to share.
But before that, I just want to say that the Lakers
who's going to be anti old people. I mean, like,
you know what? No,
anti old people. And you are kind of anti-old people.
I am not.
You know what? You know how I can tell you anti-old people, because you don't look nowhere close to 55. So you're anti-Asian. Yeah.
You don't like Asian.
You do a skincare.
Look at all that damn hair on your head.
Let me tell y'all young buck something, right? I watched that Ashton Hall video where he gets up and dunks his face in the ice water. And I said, I'm gonna do that.
That's what it is.
I'm gonna fucking do that. And I've been getting up and doing. Yo, the dopamine. Oh my God. You feel the fucking ice all here and friggin'. It's dope. It's dope.
So it only takes you 7 minutes to do a shower, and then to deep dive into a pool, and then only 3 minutes to get on a Zoom call.
You know,
this is crazy, man.
You know what I love about him? He makes male vanity look cool, right? He's cutting the hair and the nails and looking at himself, and guys don't usually do that. He makes that shit look like this is how you should be. If you're successful, you got the car, you got the house, and you friggin' take care of your body, and you fucking make sure you look right from head to toe. And like, that's he makes it look cool.
And with that said, that's another reason we should stop hating on older rappers.
Stop hating on older rappers.
Stop hating.
No, you know what?
I never hated on older rappers.
Let me be a contrarian. Maybe a contrarian to my own. I'm gonna be on your side right here for this one, Torre. Some of you do need to stop rapping and convincing everybody that it's your career.
That's different. That
doesn't
do with age.
You weren't serious in your 20s. You weren't serious in your 30s, and nothing new has happened in your 40s. You are hogging up space. You're hogging up territory that could be. You were out there competing for open mic slots with 16 and 17-year-olds.
Why are we going after this dude?
Because that needs to be said. You know what's all right? Maybe this is my argument. I'm going to say that because they're my peers. Make your art, because nobody should put an age on art. Go make your art. If that's what makes you happy, this is where I sound more like Charleston White. Take care of your responsibilities. Got them babies out there hungry, and you want to rap. You want to fucking rap? Take care of your responsibilities.
Who are these
and
people?
then talk about rap.
Where are these?
No, you know what I noticed? The people who come to the defense when I start like really going in on like, man, there shouldn't be no ageism in hip hop. It be the people that those folks are criticizing. It's like they're talking to an avatar, and I'm defending an avatar that's not them. It's a very different thing.
I don't know.
Wait, who's who in this?
I don't know what he's
Hold on,
talking
let
about.
me say this. There's people like King Green who do this for real. And I know that you're very much part of a very small percentage who are out here touring, who are doing things professionally on a regular basis. I happen to be an independent artist that has my hand in many different things. I know that I represent a small percentage. There are other independent artists, like when I went to go see Strange Music Building and I saw the actual compounds, I said, oh, I'm not this kind of independent. I thought I was.
No, that's a different independent.
They said, fam, they told me, they said, yeah, this building for our merch used to be a Montgomery Ward. A what? A Montgomery Ward? So I think there's different levels of independence, and I think there's some people who are.
That was the department store, Green.
Yeah, they're delusion pendant. They're delusion pendant. And they talking about, yeah, I wouldn't sign a no deal. Bitch, they don't want you. They don't want to sign you. They don't want your music, and you need to stop lying. You over there hogging up all in the video.
I hear where you're at, but I'm gonna retaliate with this just because we
That's a strong word. Retaliate.
Is that we? I like to encourage rappers. Let me say. I like to encourage rappers and rap as an art form, the same way painting is an art form, the same way playing the guitar is an art form. If you have an MPC, you work your 9 to 5, you go home and you make beats. People want to even see that. I want to see you do the thing because you love the thing. Yeah. So yes, lying about the thing, which is what Curtis is talking about. Lying about the thing is, for me, is when you're trying to compare yourself, because comparison is the thief of joy. You're trying to compare yourself to this industry, to this youth, to this space that you're actually not in. But if you're real about the place that you are actually in and authentic about that place, we want to hear about it. We don't want to hear you talk about how you a rapper and like, yo, I would have been with T.I. and them, but they was hating on me. No, I don't care about any of that. What are you doing now? And if it's authentic, we want to hear that, because I just want to put that out there, because I love this art form so much. And I hear people hit me up all the time about watch.
What is she talking? What is she talking about? I don't even know what is happening.
When you go in that
why you interrupting for the chat and no one can see the chat?
When you go in that voice, my eyes start watering.
No, put up the like. What? I don't understand what she's even talking about. Where is this happening? Where
they do this to me too? They do this to me on my chat. They talk about how my New Balances are Pawpaw 12s, and I say, don't ever disrespect me like that again.
I don't even know what that means.
New Balances, the New Balance 90-60s, all the kids are into it. My wife is younger than me, and she got me about. She was like, "You need to get some of these." I was like, "Ugh, look like something my grandma wear." Then I put them on my feet, and I said, "I will never insult these again." And so now, when I show them off in my chat, they do the same thing they're doing in Torre, and that they attack.
You wear New Balances, though.
New Balances are cool for the youth, Torre. Don't say it like that.
You wear Skechers too?
Whoa!
Wow!
Like,
your 55 is showing right now, Torre. Your whole 55.
I'm not 55, so fuck you.
That's
Green.
strike two. That's right.
How old are you then?
71. So do the math. You do the math. I can't do the math.
Torre.
I didn't learn that much subtraction.
You called me light bright yellow, and then you talking about, do I wear Skechers? Strike two. I ain't wear Skechers in high school.
You know what I'm kind of noticing? My generation is heavy into Nike because we saw the rise of Nike with Jordan and expand. It was like one of the most interesting companies, great at marketing for decades. But the younger generation is not really hot on Nike anymore. And it's like, it's becoming like a thing that ages you, of like, you're into Nike? Like that's like old school. I'm like, how did Nike become old school? Like, goddamn.
Tori, I could tell you the moment it happened when I went into Finish Line a few weeks ago in size 12. I haven't got like Nikes in a long time because I don't really collect shoes like that. I went in there and my size 12s felt like 11s. And I said, this must be this shoe. I tried the Anthony Edwards shoe. I damn sure didn't try them damn KDs. They too colorful. I tried all these different shoes and I realized, wait a minute. Every shoe across the board is either being made with cheaper material or they're just universally smaller in the US now. And I was like, I've only worn Nikes. I've had Nikes that I've had in possession for like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And then I started trying on all these 12s. They're so tiny. I walked out of there with a size 13. I've never bought a size 13 any shoe in my life.
I don't know, dog. I buy a lot of Nikes. I haven't changed my size. I mean, I did change my size when I had a bunion, but I got rid of that. I took care of that, so that I don't need to do that anymore. But that's that's a private thing that I probably shouldn't have mentioned, but it just came to mind, so I just said it. So here we are.
That's why I fucks with Tory. He gonna just say that and to keep on with his statement. He ain't got nothing else to say. I said what I said. Good.
I had a bunion. As you do.
Because you're supposed to go bigger when you got a bunion. What sensible man doesn't do that?
That's hilarious. Hold on, but this joke right here is hilarious. New Balance equals UGG Force Ones is crazy.
The Doomer is always here. Thank you so much.
You know what?
Oh my God.
You know what? Say what you want. Well, I got these. It felt like hotel mattresses around my feet. While I'm walking around here, I did Disneyland in these shoes. Oh my God.
Wait, what did Matt Hemming say?
I'll put it up. You read it.
Uh-oh.
Toure defended Run DMC being more influential than Wu-Tang using post hoc ergo proctor hoc. If after therefore because of, i.e. Wu came after Run, so Run led to Wu. See, we olds control in Latin. There you go. Comment of the day. Thank you, Matt.
Hilarious.
I win.
You don't win. He's against you. Anyways.
No. That was for me. I win.
Nah, he's still he against you. Anyway.
Stop hating. Doesn't look good on you, Green.
I do not hate. But
so Curtis,
Wu-Tang
because you're here and Green is very salty, we're gonna leave him out of this whole segment. I want to do, because you see we did the white Mount Rushmore, which I was very against because white people should never be centered in a hip hop conversation. But then they did a fucking white Mount Rushmore of hip hop, and I'm like, if you fucking talk about that again, I will fucking turn this car around and fucking go home. But then somebody did, of course, a female Mount Rushmore, and like, okay, fine. And then I was like, wait a minute. We should do a biracial Mount Rushmore of hip hop because that's the only other group that really matters, right? So I'm trying to figure. There's a little confusion because clearly it's Drake. Drake is super at home here, right?
No.
Like he's killing in this community, right? No. He's not black enough for us, but he's.
What about J. Cole? J. Cole's biracial. He's number one.
Cole is in there for sure, 100%, right? I mean, right, the big three, right? Now, the problem we get into is, do we go Logic or Cudi or Doja or Lotto?
I'm just dying in front of you. I'm literally dying in front of you. You do this 2 hours before I talk to Deontay Kyle.
about blackness and black. I told him that's why I was about to stay out of this biracial Mount Rushmore. I think that's worse than the white Mount Rushmore.
I think I might too, because don't forget, even though my name is Curtis King, my real name is Dewan with a D''W''A''N. That's Dewan. That's what my name is. That's why I didn't get no jobs, because the job application was like, no for you. No, thank you. Bowling alley? No, thank you. Movie? No. So when you say these things, I may look a certain way, but how I feel inside, it definitely is not adjacent to Drake or Logic. When I hear you say that, that's when I start to realize.
Wait, hold on. See, here again, we do sunsets and sunrises. I would never assume that you were biracial. I am not biracial.
Well, you didn't assume it out of this argument.
Because you're light. Because we're both light. So Green is salty about the whole conversation because he's dark. We are light, so we can have this conversation. So we
no. It's because you're one of me, so we can have this.
Yeah, no, we're the same boat as far as light skinned niggas. Don't tell me you're gonna pull out the paper bag and be like, I'm lighter than you. Like that's not necessary.
I'm gonna do the test. My auntie Beverly would tell me. She said, little nigga, stop letting them call you light skin. I said, why? She said, if I put a drop of Hershey's in a milk, you call it light skin milk? I said, no. She said, what you call it? I said, chocolate milk. She said, go and have a good day. She told me that at a very early age. And I took that to heart. And what I realized is that I think, because, you know, Deontay Kyle has his whole thing, his whole movement of why we should stop using the term YN because of the loaded language that's surrounded when different races engage in it, right? And the assumptions. And I really want to talk to him about that today. I think light skin is one of those that gets often weaponized, and it's a way that people bundle up a bunch of folks that look similar but may have completely different dynamics when it comes to their morals, their upbringing, and it just completely ignores that. But urban life has nothing to do with,
for sure. We're
you know what I mean?
But we're not discounting the reality of light skin privilege, right? Like the blackness experience can at times be a little different for us when we're on the lighter end of the scale.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, that's not even controversial. Some people are like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about colorism. This shit is real. Like the way that both black and white people respond to lighter skinned black people is different. I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing. I'm just saying this is a thing that should not be controversial.
It's never felt like
I think we're on the side of how do we move past that so much that it becomes something that we think about even in the way that we talk, right? Colorism latte is hilarious, by the way.
Colorism latte. Well, I'm glad because you guys are priming me for this interview. I said y'all might unsubscribe after this interview. I said this finna be the blackest episode you've seen on Curtis King TV with Deontay. But to what you're saying, I'll tell you my experience, and I wonder how many folks relate to this. It never felt like privilege. Like I've never gotten, I don't think I recognize moments that I got out of situations. When I got pulled over and they looked at ID and they said DeJuan and they see my hair texture and they see me, they gave me the same problems that I would hear other folks getting problems. When I was in certain circles with my own folks, they'd be like, when I start using certain words, they're like, oh, you talking white. Then I get around white folks and I would start saying stuff that I would say around my folks and they would say, you're not one of us. And so it kind of left me in a situation where it's like, well, where do I go take this privilege card and use it?
Do you do well with women historically?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
one
for me.
But let's not discredit.
Are you not discredit
this amazing personality?
I not.
I have the personality of an ugly man.
I doubt that very much, sir.
I have the personality
of an ugly man that is overcompensating.
Are you? Hold on, Toure. What is the point with that one? Because I don't want to ask you this because I know it's gonna go. I know it's gonna go left. No.
Joking?
I know.
Are you joking?
Not joking.
I have to point out obvious shit now.
No. You said light skin. You said light skin privilege. Like, do you do well with women? And then when I hear that, and I'm like, that goes such down a rabbit hole that I know the chat's gonna fry you up. And I
see this dynamic. You be setting him up.
I be setting him up. I be setting him up. A little bit. He don't even know though. He don't. Even,
I mean, I would never say anything that I didn't want to say. I mean, like you.
Oh, we know that. We know that.
You're not.
Anyways, this colorism chat, they love it. 800 people just showed up. They want to. They love this. I don't know why they heard about it. They was like, oh, they talking about light skins. What's good?
They're here for that beige rage. Let's go.
So we have definitely established that young Curtis, to his own testimony, does well with women. We know that proximity to whiteness is attached to attractiveness in many people's minds, both black and white. Sociologists have seen this over and over and over for decades. Like, this is not revolutionary. So the moment you're like, I tend to do well with women, I'm like, of course you're.
But that's let me clarify. Let me clarify. I did not do good with women until I got into my teens and my 20s. When I was going to Curtis Middle School, I was Hold
What are we
on.
dating
This
in
is
middle
important.
school?
This is important. This is important because this is what defines my name. My name is Curtis King. My name is literally Curtis King because at Curtis Middle School, I had insecurities about the way that I looked, the way that I sounded, the way that what lack of blackness existed in my DNA for some people, challenging me on that. All these things are what made me conquer my insecurities, which is why I'm Curtis King. That exists literally in the foundation of my name. Shout out to all of those in Carson, California. Coming up, there was no privilege that I got for my tone. I still had pimples on my face, and I'm not trying to equate my situation.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. You may not notice it because you don't know anything else, but I bet.
But to your example, can I land that point?
I bet you heard that you were cute.
No,
you're a cute boy.
No,
I love this beige battle, by the way. This beige battle that's happening, I'm loving it.
I didn't
staying out of it.
That's why I gotta land. That's why I gotta land this because I think that there's an assumption here. I'm be honest, I've heard other high yellow peers say, "Oh yeah, girls be." It wasn't like that for me. Whether it's because I was nerdy, whether it's because I quote unquote in no circles I talk white or whatever they want to call it. I didn't enjoy those because there was a long period of time where I was cool enough to be a friend, but that wasn't a situation for me. So yeah, you're right. There are blinders because I only have my perspective. But the truth of the matter is, I wasn't good like that until I got older.
Can a chocolate man interrupt Torre for a little bit? Can I have a little chocolate perspective?
Please.
All right.
Calling yourself
I agree with.
Crazy. Go ahead.
Call myself chocolate crazy. That's what it is.
That's not what I heard.
But anyways, I don't know what's going on. But the idea of colorism existing and there being a benefit to proximity to whiteness is just a fact, right? We all understand that when it comes to how the law perceives you, how things that happen, we're talking about statistics and how it happens within the dominant white supremacist society. That's just a fact. Now, individual anecdotal experiences, we can't claim, and what happens all the time, someone puts out anecdotal experiences and someone hits you with but you can't remove someone's actual personal life and their experience. They might have had a whole different thing and don't see things, but they might not see the dominant society perspective because of their own anecdotal experience. So let's just say that right there. So I don't want to discredit Curtis and his experience at all. Now,
light-skinned niggas hate me. I'll explain that in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, the light-skin, dark-skin thing has been such a crazy thing with in the community. I think that's what's happened in the community. Naturally, we've kind of corrected that idea, and it's been something that we have not pushed in the forefront because watch Pop the Balloon. Before, Tora, you gotta let me finish. Watch Pop the Balloon and what's going on trending. A lot of women are very vocal nowadays, where back in the days they were not vocal about, of saying, oh, he's light skinned. I don't like light skins. I don't like skins. It's like I prefer dark men. That is a big trend within the last 10, 15 years. And if someone said it on the other end, they would catch shit for it in today's America. If someone was like, oh, I don't like dark skins, you don't hear people saying that shit
that
in
would be
public.
That would be inappropriate. Public.
It'd be inappropriate, but people say all day, I don't like light skins. But that's a thing that actually happens.
That's a more recent thing.
That's a more recent thing. Exactly.
You're talking about what's acceptable to say.
No, I said it in plain English that there has been a correction from the fact of the concept of light skins being put out in the forefront, like even in movies, in TV. I'm saying there's a correction consciously happening.
I don't know. I think, to your point, some people,
but men will still say they prefer light skins out here in the streets and say they prefer white women because men will just be out here saying that. That still happens on the male side, by the way, in public. I'm just saying black women have been pedestaling dark men in recent times more than they used to back in the day. That's something that we have to acknowledge, and colorism exists. That's just what I want to say about black nigga out.
I think about some people are trying to really reflect the beauty of dark skin the work of Jordan Peele, for one, is completely fixated on how can we show dark-skinned people lit beautifully, shot beautifully, looking beautiful, and he does this over and over and over. Also with Daniel Kaluuya, but also with Lupita Nyong'o, and it's just extraordinary. And there are other people, like that who have made an effort to really talk about and highlight the beauty of dark skin, but society is still racked with white skin privilege and its cousin light skin privilege. And I think in general, we see a preference for lighter skinned people when you are talking about images of beauty. The beauty standards are still tied up with that. And I see even the beauty industry, from makeup to to models, definitely, as you're saying, make an effort to include dark-skinned people.
What's the point? It's because this you're getting to a place, and this is why I was trying to stop. You're getting to a place where people may not understand that what the larger point is, and it seems like you're almost defending.
No. See, I'm talking about what is, and we can move on if that's what you're saying. I'm not saying what I want.
I'm just saying
one more point. I want to
go ahead, Curtis.
One more point in that, and I'm listening, right? I'm listening to both what King Green and what Tori is saying, and I am, for the first time, really thinking about just how complex a lot of my peer-to-peer relationships, lack thereof, have been between me and other light-skinned black men, and how I would talk about certain things, like how I was brought up. My pops had a library full of Black Panther literature. My pops had, he had the roots in a physical form. I came up watching that. My pops took me to the premiere for Malcolm X. How I was brought up. There were certain conversations I would have with other quote unquote light-skinned peers, and we might as well be talking different languages. So now fast forward to today, what I'm recognizing is that I asked my chat, I said, when y'all see me going off on Drake, are you here first because of what I gotta say, or because you're just in amazement to see one light-skinned person say the things that I say about another light-skinned person? And then it dawned on me how many, they said, Curtis, you don't realize, somebody said the other day, you don't realize there's 1,000 people with faces like you that are defending him. And I just can't identify with that. Now, that's not to say that somebody may see me in a different light. They may have a different energy towards me. I just have never absorbed that in these conversations, because I recognize, I used to always say this when I was younger, get two light-skinned niggas in a room, one of them going to be angry about the other one being there when they're young. Because one of them is probably catty. One of them is probably with the duck lips. One of them is probably doing all of them stereotypes that y'all say can't change a tire. One of them is like that. I tell you, one time I was on a basketball team. I was trying out, right, in high school. And it was this one light-skinned dude who he just got out of like little juvie or whatever. He was like, overcompensating. And it was a few players on the team that were laughing at me and him. And he was like, what them niggas laughing about? I said, they trying to say that me and you look like we related. He said, nigga, you could never be like me. And then look straight. And I said, how fucking sassy are you? And I realized, oh shit, that's probably why my mom named me Dewan. Because she said you're going to have a very different experience than maybe some of the folks she came up with, or some of the folks that she saw in terms of the avatar of men. I just was never somebody that had that experience. And I'm not saying that that's what it is across the board at all. I'm just saying it's almost like a realization as I'm hearing y'all talk, because I really don't get a chance to talk about these things, because I've had to like go on my own journey to really make sure that I make peace with what I look like visually and who I feel like internally.
I do think the conversation becomes problematic because like I said before, we understand colorism is systemic. And I know that's the point that you're making, Torre. And it's just that once you get into the minutia of it all, it can become problematic because the idea of who is light skin, what is dark skin? Now, if you're light skin, is your ethnicity being challenged? Just like, why would someone challenge his ethnicity because he's light skin? He's like, he's from California, he's black, but someone's gonna call him Puerto Rican. You know how crazy that is to think about that, where it's like your ethnicity gets challenged now because of your color space. So it becomes problematic.
When Genuine was out here with that silky baby, I'm sorry, Tori. When Genuine was out here with that silky ass baby hair, they said, why you can't do that? I tried to take a brush and put the baby hair down. I was talking to a girl trying to get my Genuine on, and that's when I realized I could never be light-skinned the way that I thought I could, because the way that my DNA works, that fucking baby hair curled back up in front of me, and she started pointing as I was trying to game her up. She said, and then I realized, oh, the texture of my hair is very, very different.
You know, ain't the same type of light skin.
I ain't the same type of light skin.
I do think that that lighter skinned folks have, and oh my god, like you now you put me in a
light skinned folks,
light skinned
people,
us people do sometimes get an energy from other black people, which is you're not really black, which is partly to silence us, which is partly about you experience light skin privilege and thus you don't really go through it like we do, which the person may or may not be articulating that specifically, but that may be part of it. You know, I think there's ways that we could say that person is justified in saying that, and ways they would say that you're not, that's not correct, right? We could really go through that in a very nuanced way. But I mean, the sense that you're talking about, like, yes, I have experienced that. I would imagine Curtis may have experienced that at some point. I don't want to make that like we're victims, just that is something that we have experienced. But also, Curtis, I think that sometimes that there's expectations of lighter skinned people that others are not experiencing. And you may not even realize, oh, why did the teacher assume that Curtis would be intelligent? Oh, well, no, you know, well, you're a successful YouTuber. You don't think that colorism has anything to do with that?
That's not what I'm saying, because what I'm telling you is that my pops looks like Malcolm X and he talked like Furious Styles coming up. Okay, just to give you a little context.
Love it.
My pops walked into a classroom one time, somebody said, oh shit, Malcolm X in the building, and I just put my head down because I knew that was my dad. Okay, my pops was the one that went into a class, went into a parent conference, talked to the principal because of how the teacher was talking to me in a demeaning way. I was in music class and I'm just giving my experience. I know that's not the thing across the board. I'm just making sure I give the proper context. I had a music teacher that told me that, in his words, I was too stupid to play the instrument that I wanted to play. And my pops came down there and raised hell. And that's what inspired him to want to get into teaching. That same Furious Styles pops is the same one. So what you're talking about, I understand that dynamic. I hear that dynamic when I'm listening to sports broadcasters talk about the IQ of an athlete when they're white versus the athleticism of an athlete when they're black.
For sure.
I recognize, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get to talk about these things. So it seems like I'm glossing over in generalities, but it's like, no, I talked to my pops about this. Me and him are supposed to be doing a podcast together for that very reason. Because
you and your dad?
Me and my dad are going to do a podcast. Like, he's flying. Well, I'm flying out to go shoot one of his talks that he's doing in an education field that is specifically about this book that he's doing. He's doing a literal book where he's gone through history and he's shown the way that players are scouted, right? Black players and the things that they say about them, the things that may be risk versus white athletes. I've been seeing this since I was a kid. So when he sat there and would tell me, like, look at the way they're going to talk about Michael Vick. He said, look at how angry some of these folks are. And I'm not excusing him for dogfighting.
Instinctive.
Look how aggressive they are about the dogfighting as they sit there and eat a hamburger. So there's certain topics that people don't want to talk about. I'm positioning myself to get there, but I'm glad I'm having this perspective because it's giving me, I'm understanding now.
So as you're saying, as you're talking, you are seeing more of the light skin privilege that you have experienced.
I'm seeing the disconnect that some people have from the message, because in my heart and what I'm delivering, there is no confusion. Yeah. But the way that it's landing with certain people, I could understand that now.
I don't think there is any confusion. I think you can be who you are, super black, you know, pro-black, all those things, and also be perceived by the world as light-skinned, which would mean many things. It's not necessarily good or bad or one thing or another thing. It could mean different things to different people as you move through your day. But I think more often than not, it will accrue
Which can be confusing.
Yes, it would accrue to an advantage against the disadvantage of being black. In most spaces, being black, but in some spaces, being black is an advantage, or at some times.
You mean being dark because he's still black?
No, I meant being black.
You starting shit. Now I know what's going on in this corner. All that green, man. Hey, man, you need some Laker yellow.
Anyways, no, I'm tired of you light skinned brothers over here having light skinned conversations. I was letting y'all have it.
The Doomer said Torre is beige whispering Curtis. I'm sick.
Beige whispering Curtis is crazy. Hold on, this is my comment right here. Torre, the Professor X of light skins.
I ain't never always found nobody. That's amazing. Oh my god.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
But let me talk to something. Okay, so you're gonna have this black conversation with Deontay Kyle, and this is a unifying conversation. That's my guy. Love Deontay Kyle. Love his content. But also, I heard from somebody somewhere that you have a big interview tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
With the one and only Punch from TDE.
Oh,
is this true?
Oh,
this is true. This is true. This
That's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, man.
You know
applause in the chat.
Yo, how'd you get it? How'd you land that?
Payola, obviously. No. You know what? That's a great question. And that, we were supposed to do this some months ago. And I listened to what his pain points were with certain segments of hip hop media. And they were the same pain points that I had as an artist going to different platforms that didn't want to talk about the thing that I just worked on for the last 6 months, which was the music. And so when I started really, like, my content from day one has been about preserving hip hop principles and culture and making sure that we find ways, no matter what topic I'm talking about, whether it's boom bap drums or whatever I'm talking about, tutorials, you're going to get a hip hop in that conversation. Now that I have fully pivoted into talking about hip hop culture, I think that I've set myself up to where it's a very unique platform as opposed to the major ones, because he has access to anybody he wants. I think there's a certain level of trust also because I've worked with them. I've worked with TDE since 2006. I mean, not as of recent, but in the early years, I saw when Kendrick was still J-Rock's hype man. I remember being in those studios, and I remember when I interviewed Ali a few months ago, and I said, Ali, you taught me how to EQ. He said, I probably was learning my damn self at the same time. So it's like, I seen that story. I have some very, very unique questions.
Yeah,
that are not.
What do you want to ask him?
There's things that I think that people overlook. I know everybody wants to talk about the battle, and I'm sure in some context that's going to come up. But my thing is, there's a level of discipline that I saw early on at TDE that in my 20-year career, I have not seen in any of the other environments. I've seen it with individual artists, but there was a level of discipline that existed from the mission statement on the walls, the rules and things there, even the way that they protected it. The first time I went over there, I almost got my head shot off because I popped the gate after Absol told me to open the gate and go in the back of the house because he wasn't there yet, and I just felt eyes on me, and then a head pops out the door and it's Top Dog. And he said, "Oh, nigga, who's you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Curtis King." That's when I really started using my light skin privileges, I guess, huh?
There you go.
Look at
the voice. Look at the voice.
I'm here to talk to Absol and mixed by Ali. And he said, "Oh, you good.
No threat, sir. I'm light-skinned.
I am no threat." You hear me? No, but like there's a lot of things. I don't want to spoil it quite yet because I have a
don't
list.
Spoil it. Yeah.
What is things also too? Like I have questions about, why me? Why now? I don't know all those answers.
What is the biggest thing you want to know about the battle?
The biggest thing that I want to know about the battle, how much preparation was done before we even knew that a battle was going to happen. I'm really, really interested in knowing, like, what is, because every time you talk to Punch not Punch. Every time you talk to Kendrick, every time you talk to Soul, they talk about the teachings that they had. Nobody ever asked about the teachings themselves. Everybody's asking about the results of those and how they prepared them. When I went in there, it was a boot camp. I didn't realize it in a moment, but it was a boot camp of organization. So it's like there's certain things that even the way that they move, the way that they move in, they really do move in silence. The people who talk about moving in silence tweeted while they talking, not in silence. They really do it, and they've dominated the game in such a unique way. There's so much that I feel people are leaving on the table, and just I as an artist have questions because I've been in that environment. So there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that I told him. I assured him, I said, my platform is not here about the mess. People are like, I hope you're not going to softball them. Well, I'm also trying to make sure that the next person that sees my platform as an interesting one to come to doesn't feel like I'm about to just, hit them with a curveball. That's not what I'm doing.
Crazy stuff.
There's people who have made their reputation on that. That's not me.
I would love to know what he thinks about where did this really start? And like, are we talking about first-person shooter? Are we talking about control? Are we talking about something that was said or witnessed or felt on tour a long time ago? Like,
but see, that's why I want to ask questions about the principles that were established early on, because I guarantee you codes were broken by Drake because he came up in a very different environment. There were certain things that I saw happen in real time, and I kid you not, I said them on my stream. I said, oh, it's over. It's a wrap. You good, my love. I was like, it's a wrap. This thing is done for, because I don't think he recognizes you're not just facing a rapper who is loose about their time, a rapper who's casually rapping. You're talking to a maniac from a camp of maniacs who have been trained by maniacs. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. They moved like a football team back then. I went there and I remember going to one of the studio sessions at TDE, and they had a pan of fries that they had been eating throughout the day as they were recording records the entire day. And nobody left that studio. It was just, all right, you got a verse? Okay, cool. You go in there. Okay, I got a song. And it was just circulating through. So when I seen that, I think a lot of people, I understand wanting to kind of put some of that to the side, but like there's so many things they're doing, even like TDE movies. Like a lot of this stuff, there's stuff that we really never get a chance to get into because we get hyper focused, and we're going to have to talk about it because it's one of the things. But man, I'm genuinely intrigued as an artist and as a creative about where the foundation of this comes from and just where things are going moving forward. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. And I definitely want to ask him as we get there, like what I can ask about, because who knows what the hell I can ask about.
Did they tell you couldn't ask about this or that?
We haven't had that conversation yet.
Damn,
How long do you have with him?
We haven't had that conversation yet.
when can we tune in? When can everybody tune in?
1:15 tomorrow on my channel, Curtis King.
Lakers losers time
live
Eastern. When is it? Is it West Coast time or is it like defending champions time?
Lakers loser time would be last year. That's like you know what I'm calling that? That's called BL before Luka. Yeah, that's the BL years before Luka.
You don't really do you really think that this current Lakers squad can get to the finals, much less beat? I don't think they can beat the Celtics, but I don't think you can get out of the West.
I don't think the Celtics will make it out of the third round.
Well, the number 2 team, like in the what are you talking about?
So you think the Cavs are coming out of the East?
I think anybody but the Celtics are coming out the East.
All the people that we beat are going to beat us?
You're just hating.
Yeah, he's trolling. He's trolling.
What do you mean?
I've asked you a real basketball question, and you're just hating.
What do you mean?
We're trying to have NBA latte right now, and you're over here playing around. He's trying to play around.
What are you trying to bet? What's he trying to bet? Which team gets farther, Celtics or Lakers? What you trying to bet?
Yeah, we got to bet something good.
If the Celtics win and they get to the finals,
which team gets to a farther level?
If the Celtics get further, I'll wear a green I will wear a green LA Dodgers hat. Like, it's not.
No, I ain't good enough.
No,
I ain't good enough. I'll send you a Boston jersey, and you got to do a stream with us, and you got to wear the Boston jersey the whole time, and vice versa.
There's a lot cheaper ways for me to wash off my tables.
You ain't gonna wear the
jersey is
Boston jersey
egregious.
on. You ain't gonna wear a jersey on stream.
Who are you gonna send me? Who would you send me? I'm curious. Who would you send me as a jersey?
Probably like an old school, like, you know, Jeff Green jersey, so it could say green on the back, so you can walk around with green on the back of your jersey.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But nah, I don't. I'd wear. I mean, I wear LA hats all the time. I'd wear a Laker. No, I wouldn't wear anything other than green. If you can find a Lakers green jersey and send it to me,
that's the bet. The one day we see you not in green is going to be in a Lakers jersey.
never happening.
Yellow.
That's impossible.
Yellow.
That's impossible.
I need you. I'm going to get you a yellow.
Is
I'm
there
wearing
not
yellow
a green?
Laker
Can we
jersey.
not get him a green Laker jersey? Like I think
They got St. Patty's Day jersey.
that's a
What kind of a deal is that?
sacrifice.
What kind of a deal is that?
That's
not a deal.
The man has to wear green. Like that's his whole life. Like can we at least?
That's the risk you take when you take on bets. Y'all scared?
That's
Y'all
the
get it.
risk.
He's not scared. If he was
just wouldn't
doing
do
it himself, that would be different. It's
Yeah.
not. We're not actually on the floor.
You can wear green glasses and nobody would say nothing. Just the green glasses with a bright yellow.
Hey, I don't wear green for other people. So but it is what it is. Either way, we'll figure out another bet and you will come on here because I can't wait. That's gonna be a good show. Whatever that bet is, we're gonna figure it out. Because it's gotta be something. It's gotta be something good that we're both taking some sort of risk for.
I mean, they got
You know
green
what?
Laker jerseys up the fucking wazoo. Even the Lakers play in a dream.
You pulling it up. Not Torre pulling up the jerseys.
Taco Tuesday Lakers jersey.
Don't nobody want to wear no Game Boy colored Laker jerseys. Come on,
And
man.
niggas do
Like,
want to wear the Game Boy Color Laker jersey. That's exactly who you want to wear. They got the Rodman in the military at the this is in the camo, in the green camo.
Hold on. You see, this chat is
Uh-huh.
this chat is exactly it right there. They get it.
What is
Asking
that?
green.
Wear a different color. It's like asking a vegan to eat a steak. Well,
Eat a steak.
a vegan wouldn't take on a bet like that because they know.
No, you would AC green Laker jersey.
Oh, that's it. That's the one. You gotta wear.
Okay,
AC
we can do that.
Wear AC green
Wait,
Laker
green.
jersey.
If it says the word green on it, is that
No.
But is that,
Has there ever been a Boston Celtic that had the last name King? I know we have Bernard King that was for the Kings, but anybody ever had like a King
Celtic name King?
last name King?
Nah, not that I know of.
Not when I
Yeah,
was
because you guys are not
there.
royalty. Continue.
You know what? I'm okay with all the dishes because we're talking about someone that was not even in the playoffs last year, talking about the defending champions.
We're gonna be there this year. We're gonna be there this year, though.
Okay, let's see. Let's
You
see
gonna
if you defended
you
for the
gotta
chip.
come out to if when we win a championship, just come on out. Both you and Torre, we just gonna walk through the parade. That's gonna be an amazing vlog episode.
Yo, that'd be crazy. I'd be hurt. All that
But if
gold
y'all
and
win
purple.
it, I will go in the middle of Boston and I will subject myself. I don't even know if y'all want to go in the middle of Boston at that time.
Wait, hold on. Stacey King briefly played for the Celtics after signing a 10-day contract. And Nick King is a small forward who played for the Celtics from Memphis, Tennessee.
That's the one. Find me that jersey.
Okay, we'll find that one. We gotta eBay that shit because I didn't even heard of this. I never even
custom
heard of this
jersey.
nigga.
It's gonna be $44 for that custom jersey.
Wow. Nah, y'all don't have
Jerry
a chance.
curl.
You crazy. You can't get past the kids in Oklahoma City. You ain't got no answer for the Celtics. Celtics got like 3 3-point shooters on the floor at all times. Who's covering them?
Injuries.
Who's covering them injuries?
Fatigue.
Nope. What about the old man on your team? We don't know if he's gonna fight through that playoff season.
We don't need him to. He could be a spot up
playoffs.
shooter. We don't need that.
Spot up
All right,
shooter.
All right. Y'all look good for y'all. Let me just say that. Y'all look good for y'all. And I'm glad
Y'all
that
look
y'all
good
gonna
for y'all is the most
y'all look good for y'all.
most disrespectful, kind thing you could ever say.
y'all
Y'all
look
look
great
good for y'all.
Same.
Y'all look for you look good for a team that got to wear green.
Why the hate on green?
If that was an insult, if that was truly an insult, I'd feel
That's not.
something.
He's just inherently hating on green.
It's all right.
Hold on. I know you're not talking to Ray after you inherently was hating on high yellow. You was just throwing off examples from the start of this episode.
It wasn't
You let him off.
hating.
You were like,
I am
it's almost
yellow.
like
What are
somebody
you
called
talking
Curtis.
about?
It's almost like if somebody called Curtis Lightbright. I don't know why they do that, but you know, it's almost like that. I was like, oh man,
That's an ad hominem attack. Oh my god! Niggas
I appreciate you guys so much. I do. Thank you for
Wild.
having me on.
Definitely.
Wild.
Definitely
Wild.
great. Thank you for coming through. We know you got your next interview. Everybody needs to go over to Curtis's channel, obviously.
Yo,
Y'all
shout
will.
out to the light-skinned people watching.
Not you having your own version of "Shut Up, My African American" over there. Not you doing that. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Shout out my people, all the light skins in the chat.
Hold on, there's one that you didn't read right here.
What is that? There's a couple.
Oh, not that one. There was a couple of them, but they're all colorism stuff. We don't need to go into that. We're gonna end this whole stream. Curtis got places to go. We got things to do. We gotta work on this video that's gonna take us 8 years to make.
No, it's not.
So-
They can get your part done. The fuck?
My part is scripted. It's still gonna take a long. You ain't editing it. Anyways, we here. The greatest weekend in hip hop's coming. Curtis Punch interviews coming tomorrow. Today he's with Deontay Kyle. It's been great. It's always great to have you here, Curtis. Shout out to James in the comments. He was running him up. And everybody who gave us super chats, thank you so much. We put them on the screen. Love y'all. Ending that whole stream right now, man. Thank you guys so much. That's Rap